Now we're on camera.
Tough day out in the field today, huh?
Yeah, real rough.
Only 2 ducks.
Joby.
And now it's Miller time.
Yeah. Run in the back of the truck and get 2 ducks.
We'll grab the duck.
I'll go grab 1 duck.
You are?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What you got there, Joe? Couple ducks, huh?
I like this.
What kind are they?
Mallards.
Yeah, you betcha.
This one's the mom, this one's another mom.
No, that's a dad there.
Oh. I'm still sitting there.
There's Joe and his wife.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Mom, look! Yeah,
Little Dave isn't feeling too well today. There's Michelle and Laura. Wave to the guys back in New York.
Oh, clarification. Dan.
Dan. There's Daniel Tucker. Wave to the camera. Can you say hi?
Robin, what is the day today?
12th.
November 12th.
Hey, New York. Got enough.
There we go. Pull them up.
Good deer.
Yeah.
Should have that little one strapped on your shoulders.
8-pointer here. Nice little doe.
Big doe. Yeah, nice
This
deer.
little baby on the run. It's a good day. How cold today, guys?
25 degrees.
28, 30 degrees.
I stand corrected.
Good job.
These here are some of the other deer that were taken on this fine day. It's deer Mike on the right and Cassius Carlo on the left. Nice deer.
Come on, Jim. Get in here.
Yep, you gotta have Jim on film.
Robin?
Robin, go on. Come on.
Come on, Robin. Choose part of the driving team here. Good, Jim. Have a head. We're just cannibals.
Say, you can feel it when we drove.
This is Robin, Michael, and Jimmy Gorgus.
Jimmy Gorgus.
Not a bad season.
Well, that's pretty deer. Nice ones, all of them. Let's see, for the record, that's 2 8-point bucks. Bill's is a nice typical. Mike's got a non-typical 9-point, a nice deer. And the one that Jimmy's holding is also a non-typical 8-point. We won't score them in the Boone and Crockett record book, but they're nice.
Okay, Joe, your turn.
Did I just let these guys sit in for the picture? Yeah. Humble Joe, they call me. Soon to be hung.
Well, this is the hunting party minus Brian and Howard and
Gary and
Vern and Gary.
And Sherry.
Sherry.
Yep.
How many deer for the total of 7? 7. 7 deer for the record. 7.
1 year, 1 deer last year and 1 year before.
Yep. 7 and how many people you have total? 7 for 10.
7 for 10. Yeah.
70%. That's really good.
Yeah.
If I would have hit the one I shot at.
Even better.
Before I left go today, if I would have hit 2.
Well, there they hang.
Who said there was deer tracks in the yard?
My first 2 deer in Minnesota. It's November 13th, the day after the close of deer season. We're at Breezy Point, and this is going down that road off where you see the orange balls is going down to Angela's parents' house. This is a corner store where we get gas Up there is a hotel, Pelican Lake Hotel. Going up that way, you go into Pequot Lakes area and over towards Jenkins, where the Gorguses have their tool and die shop. Over there is the Commander. It's a bar and restaurant where we'll go for dinner quite often. They're notorious for their garbage pizza. It's a square pizza with just about everything you can imagine on it. This here is Breezy Oasis. Usually where we get our gas, where we'll get our hunting licenses, things along those lines. This is also a weigh station for deer. In Minnesota, when you get a deer, you have to take it to one of these stations and have it recorded. And this is one of the places where we do that. Right up on the other side here, if you look kind of down in there, you can see an orange flag. That's for the, there's a runway just on the other side for small aircraft. A lot of the people that come up here to Breezy Point will come up in a plane because it's about 2.5 hours from the Twin Cities to get here. So what they'll do is they'll take a plane, get up here a little bit quicker, and that way it doesn't cut into their vacation time. And that's Breezy Point Resort. It's a resort that's worth somewhere around $10 million. It's a large place. They have a recreation center and a ballroom and on and on. And over here, looking out past the stop sign, is a golf course. That's also part of Breezy Point. We're at the intersection right now of Breezy Point, where I was just showing you. And we're going on the road, there being Pelican Lake Motel. We're heading over towards the Gorgus farm where we did all of our hunting. On this road, we've got a few businesses. There really isn't too much business up in this area. It's mostly residential. We've got Denny's Garage where you can have your car worked on. And a lot of the people in Breezy that own Breezy Point also own other businesses, here being a gift center. Most of the stuff around here is revolving around the summer. Over here is a second golf course. Quite a long road, so I think we'll stop for a few minutes and pick you back up the road a little ways. This is on the same road going over towards the farm, and basically I'm just trying to give you an overview of what the general layout of the country looks like. It's relatively flat. You don't see a lot of mountains. There's a lot of woodland in this area. Most of northern Minnesota is lakes and timber area. That's looking back the road towards Breezy Point. We're still on the road going over towards the farm, and looking off to the right-hand side of the road as we're going towards the farm, if you look way up on the top of that power line, that's an osprey nest. It's huge. It's probably at least 6 foot across, and those animals are extremely, extremely large. Pond across the street from the osprey's nest. Nice little area. They do hunt ducks and things in this area, and sometimes even on this on that pond. We're coming up on the farm. It's just up here on the left-hand side, just past the mailbox is the road that we go down to get to the hunting shack. There's the road to go down to the hunting shack. We're probably less than a mile from Pequot Lakes. And that's the actual town of Pequot Lakes is what I'm referring to. Looking way off into the distance, you can see that little ball. It's a water tower. And if you really look close at it, it's painted white on the bottom, or excuse me, white on the top and red on the bottom. It's painted like an upside down bobber is what it looks like. That's the water tower for Pequot Lake. One of the other things they have here is a fire tower. It's not used anymore. similar to the one in Noblesboro in New York, it is used now for observation. Um, People can go up there and get an aerial view of the area. Road right now going down towards the hunting shack. I've just turned off of the main road. This is obviously a dirt road, somewhat snowy. Before I make you sick, I think I'll turn it off and wait till we get to the cabin. That direction, that's where Brian lives. That's also on the farm property. There's a turkey farm over there where they used to raise turkeys and smoke turkeys. That's all just used for storage now for the shop. Looking around, this is the road that we're on. Now right behind the trees over there is where the hunting shack is. Just built this year. This is kind of a little bit of a pit area. Just a big kind of field. Sure, the hunting shack that we built this year, heated it with a propane heater, a nice big heater. Off over there is a pit where they had taken quite a bit of sand and stuff for the foundation for their new shop in Jenkins. Most of the hunting we do is off over in that area there. Past there's a road that goes parallel to the way we're looking, and it just travels off into the woods. I'm down the trail right now back to what's known as the Potlatch area. Potlatch is a big field that was strip farmed for pulpwood by a company by the name of Potlatch, very similar to International Paper Company. And this is quite an interesting trail, and yes, I am doing this with my Saab. Just come down, and there's obviously the car. This is one of the paths that goes out into the Potlatch area. And this is the area, like I had mentioned, is owned by the company by the name of Potlatch. It was strip farmed for pulpwood. And this is one of the main areas that we hunt. The deer just hang out in here like crazy. The place that I shot my buck was right about in there. He was just standing, coming out of that really thick popple type trees. Was standing right there by that little tree right in here. And where I was standing was let's see, where was I? Hold on. Let's back it up. And where I was standing was right about in here when I shot the deer. And where he was standing was right about in there. Probably about a 95 to 100 yard shot. Did it with a 30-06, one bullet, 150 grain, dovetailed Nosler. Looking out that way, bunch of white birch trees. That's also potlatch land, and on the other side of those birch, about another 300 yards, is a swamp. That's where I had gotten my other doe. This is one of the tree stands that they have here. I had just taken all of those pictures out of the potlatch area from that tree stand. Another look at the potlatch area. I am now to the left of where I was by probably, a good 300 yards roughly, looking kind of out over the same area. It's kind of a bowl on the other side of that hill there. There's a ravine, and kind of right over in here is the edge of the ravine, and then it drops off at a gradual rate from there, and you can kind of see the side of it here. The deer stand that I first sat in on Saturday morning. Well, we got here about between 6 and 6:30. Sun came up at about 7. And we sat on watch, I don't know, to about 9:30, 10 o'clock. This is kind of what I saw. Looking out towards Potlatch, this will be to the left of me. Getting out into the open field area. This is kind of a ravine that goes off over this way, off over this way, and then it curves down on the other side. That's a road that follows up and over to another standover where right in the middle of the screen there's that white birch. Right on that white birch tree is another deer stand looking in this direction. It's really pretty country out here. This is Angie's brother Brian's house. This is what they call the turkey farm. This land belongs to Angie's parents, and he rents from them. They used to sell smoked turkeys, and that was where they used to sell and smoke them. And there's an old turkey barn which now they store a lot of scrap from the shop in to be worked for parts. Looking over this way, we're looking back towards the field, back towards the hunting camp. This is an old barn, and back over in there, behind those pine trees, are where the hunting shack or hunting cabin is, right over in there. About the water tower being a big bobber. Well, that's what it looks like. It's white on the top and red on the bottom, and just looks like a big bobber. That's the water tower for Pequot Lakes, Minnesota. Well, this is the front part of Angie's parents' house. That's the house that they live in. And when they first bought the resort, that was the house that they lived in. That will probably be torn down in a few months and gotten out of here because it's obviously taxed, so they don't want that around unless they have to. A little bit different view of the house. Looking down towards a two-car garage. 2 windows down in the bottom are the basement. 2 nice big windows in the front. The one on the left is for the somewhat living room, which attaches right onto the dining room. And looking down this side of the house, there's the dining room. And then there's the kitchen, door going into the kitchen. Nice bird feeder. The old house. Looking out the driveway, back towards the road. Looking from the back portion of the house, there's the old house, another garage, the back part of where they live now. Big, huge garage. That down there is cabin number 2. There's that kind of a cupola on the top. What they used to do was raise fox around here. And that's how they used to keep an eye on them. Somebody would sleep up there, and if they heard a sound, they could look out and kind of look over most of the land and see what was going on. Mostly there's just stuff stored in there now. This is looking back out towards the water, off towards our left. Back through the trees there, you can just barely see cabin number 7. That's the newest of the cabins. And they used some paddles to designate which cabin number went which way, which road. Something kind of neat. That's the road going down towards the water. We'll be down there in a second. Number 7 right there. Kind of peek in on there. Now this is land over here that was owned by the Gorguses at one time, and it was bought by a family by the name of Hodges. Harold, and I don't remember his wife's name. They own a huge plywood store, or excuse me, a big lumber store throughout Minnesota. They have quite a bit of money. And from the other side, we're down on the beach right now. We basically followed a road down that came right down there, followed it right down, keep right on going, you go into lake. Now this is Big Pelican, much larger than the other Pelican Lake. There's an island, there's the Hodges boat house and dock, most of the Hodges stuff. Now where the chairs are lined up is an old shuffleboard board. There's the Hodges house, very nice house. They built that after they purchased the property from the Gorguses, and when they're up here, Mr. and Mrs. Gorgus do quite a bit with the Hodges. They go out to dinner and play cards and just do all kinds of stuff. Back to cabin 7. The guys belong to Pelican Lake Conservation Club, and throughout the lake in the summer they put out the buoy so that people know where to go and where not to go. Up there is some more land that used to be owned by the Gorguses. They sold that off and somebody has built down there. Kind of a lookout around the lake. I think we'll go a little bit slower here. It's getting pretty chilly out. It's only about 28 degrees right now. Some of the smaller lakes are already starting to freeze up. This is one of the bays. There's quite a few camps over in here. We'll see a couple in a second here. There's one, there's a couple more. It comes over, and right up in there is another camp. If I pull back a little bit, maybe you can see part of it. Their property abuts to the Gorguses. Let's take one more pan out around the lake. Nice and slow. This is part of the bay. Then it takes back off and goes out there, and then it goes back around the other side. Just panning right along the shoreline. That was the island we just passed. Now as you get down into there, it kind of curves back around in the bay, and that's where that Breezy Point Resort was, where I was at the corner. And that's a basic overview of the general area up here in northern Minnesota, where I usually hang around with the guys. Great bunch of guys. Joey, Gary, Mike, Jim, and Mr. and Mrs. Gorgus. Great bunch of people.